so much of success, and scientifically proven so much of success, is being willing to keep trying. Grit is what they call it, basically. And I think sometimes like the kind of sensitivity that does make you a kind person is the same reason that maybe you give up, because the rejection and the things that happen as you're trying, they hurt you more because you're more raw, right? To let it stop you is a shame, because I don't think that having a sensitive kind of demeanor should mean that, you know, it's too painful for you to progress through that messy part, which we all have to go through to get anywhere. So I'm always like that about like people who don't have that and are willing to raise their hand over and over again, and how like, if I let that stop me, who does that leave, you know, raising their hand? And it's jerks.
Hi, this is Mike Ketchwella. Welcome to this episode of The Prisoner's Dilemma, where we discuss striking a balance between the passion for your art or your craft and paying the rent. I'm talking to Jenn Ely, who is in that rare last name club with me, I think.
It's funny, I was just thinking I've never heard you pronounce your own last name, and now I'm like, I don't think I was saying it right. So it's nice to hear you say it, actually.
Yeah. Ely, I remember it like the cafe, like the Ely Cafe.
Yeah, and I think there's a cathedral as well in England. That's the other one that I've found that, like, yeah. And then there's a musician named Joe Ely. Those are kind of the other Elys that I've come across, but it's a few and far between thing for sure.
What's the style of music of the musician?
I feel like he's like folk country kind of thing. It's generations before me, so it's not somebody I grew up with, but I learned about him from other fans of his that were like, "Oh, your name." As if related, I'm like, no.
What's the ethnicity of that last name, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm honestly not sure. My family is a little mysterious. I mean, best guess just from myself is probably like England, Ireland, like that sort of thing. I know there is some Irish because my grandmother just did one of those like 23andMe kind of things.
Yeah.
But my mom doesn't really know her dad. And then my dad never really knew where he was from enough to be able to tell me. So I'm kind of an unknown, and I don't really like those DNA things. So I've never done one.
Yeah.
I'm just creeped out by them. I just don't really want to send I don't know, it feels weird. So I've never wanted to do it.
Sure.
But I think I'm a northern potato.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And just to let everyone know, Jenn and I have worked on a couple projects together, because Jenn works as a art director, production designer, and then director, I think, recently, right?
For the first time, yeah. I just did my first couple projects, about three spots for a client with House Special. So pretty excited about that.
Yeah. And so maybe that's a topic we can discuss, Jenn, is so you grew up in Portland, right?
No, I grew up, well, I was born in Indiana. I've probably spent, outside of Portland, I've spent the most time maybe in Texas, but I moved almost every 2 years of my life until I moved to Portland. I've now been in Portland since 2012. So this is the longest I've ever been anywhere. But until I moved here, I hadn't even visited here. So I kind of came and I came for an internship and then just stayed. So worked out.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so let me rephrase that. So let's say we can discuss working in Portland, which is a very special place, I think, in the nation, in the world for animation.
Totally.
And there's some incredible work that's come out of this area, you know, going way back to Will Vinton years and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is small. It's like a small community. It's a smaller city, definitely smaller than LA, with less options. There's only, you know, I mean, at one point there was maybe 2 or 4 studios here that did like stop motion stuff full time, and then that fluctuates. And
yeah, I mean, when it was Will Vinton, it was really 1, and then when it became Leica and that changeover, like they were technically 2 because it was like a house and like, and then I don't know when Bent started, but that was kind of the other like longer run one. Like Shadow Machine is newer. The Netflix stuff happening up here has been newer. So it really like has grown substantially in the time that I've been here. But I think Will Vinton was kind of the one game in town for a long time, right?
Yes, yes. And so and then did you say Bent? Did you mention Bent earlier?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
sure. I'm not sure what year they started. I was just trying to think of like places that would have been kind of here
Right.
longer. And I think, obviously now like a house is house special, and a lot of the people who worked with Will Vinton are actually there. So that kind of carries on in a way. And then the other one I would think would be Bent, but I'm not actually sure if there were others that were here long because there's a bunch of smaller studios too. Like you don't even realize sometimes all the little places that are around are places that do more game stuff or like After Effects. So I'm always hearing about little studios that I didn't realize
Sure.
here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But as for, like just far as stop motion, I think
Yeah,
both of us have probably worked at every stop motion studio in the city.
yeah, no, for sure. It is like a very small community. It's funny. It's one of those things where I think when I first started, people would come in and it would be like a big family reunion every time somebody came back, and I would always look at that and go like, oh, that's so cool. I felt so like disconnected from that, and then like slowly over time that's just how it becomes, because you do kind of re-see the same people like in different configurations on different
Yeah.
projects. It's kind of nice because you're always seeing like friends. I don't know, it's great.
Yes, and then currently I'm involved with an art studio here called Hip Bone Art Studio,
Yeah,
and it's kind of nice to have the talented people here in Portland to come in and do kind of guest lectures. Sometimes I'll do summer camps, including one you did, and I'm very thankful for that.
yeah, totally. No,
Uh,
it's fun. It's nice that there's so much interest for that kind of thing in this town. Like I think that's really cool. I don't know. I think people really like to get out and like learn a new creative skill or just open a window to something they haven't done before as like a bonding activity or just to learn. Like I just think it's great. I love that
yeah,
about this culture.
yeah, and so Jen, who was kind of influential for you when you were growing up, and like who did you want to be when you grow up, and when did you start illustrating?
It's funny. I grew up with a family like mostly non-artists and in the middle of the country, so I didn't have like I don't remember. I mean, I'm sure I saw paintings, but like I don't remember like taking a trip specifically to see a painting until I was in high school. I think I was like 17. I went and saw like a Wayne Thiebaud show, which are these. If you haven't seen his art, it's like huge canvases with explosive color, and he used to work in a bakery, so it was like really thick paint, like very textural. And
Yeah.
I like it was one of those things you could stand in front of it and you were like you could only see the painting, so you could like be in this world that he made. And I just remember the feeling of that like very intensely. So it was like,
Does he do the big, like the streets, like the?
yeah, he'll do like the big cityscapes, but there'll be like streaky stuff, and the scale is really crazy. And then there'll be like bakery stuff. There's a lot of like portraiture, but it all has like really vibrant, interesting color, and they're crazy textural. Like they're very satisfying to like actually see in person. So like that's like some of the first stuff I remember that. And there was a poster of an Alice Neal painting, who is another like she's a portraitist, and she would also like use color in really interesting ways, and it was a mix of like line and tonal stuff. And it was she like did a painting of Andy Warhol, and she did paintings of like famous punk
Hmm.
people, that kind of stuff. But she also would do just like moms that she knew or her
Yeah.
daughter. Like she was very like she had this drive to be an artist, and she was very like interested in that. But then she became a mother, and I think she like loved being mother, but also really struggled with how that felt like it eclipsed this other thing that was really important to her. And so she
Hmm.
had this like kind of torn feeling about it that I feel like is expressed in a lot of her work, which I always found like very relatable and very interesting. So when she would paint like mother-daughter stuff in particular, there was just something underneath it that felt really complicated. But yeah, she was really
Get that.
interesting.
I get that. There's kind of a warmness in your stuff,
Oh, thank you.
like a human, very human. You can see the relationships in it, and I can see that maybe that was an influence.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, it's like it's kind of all the same stuff that really great painters would do. It's like, okay, so before, the camera, people were painting the way they saw stuff, which means that like, I'm seeing this and maybe your nose is really sharp, but everything around that is falling off into different degrees of, abstractness. And a lot of the ways that people would do that is to like start a painting, paint all over, and then raise up the part of focus and the rest would fall off. But the cool thing about that was that you could see the way it was made within it and it had that activity. Yeah. And I'm always like trying to find ways to still have that, even though things have moved so digital, because I think it's really easy to end up with a very clean, precise thing. And the sort of mess and chaos of, real paint and all that stuff is always something I'm trying to kind of like infuse back in because I'm a little bit in love with it.
Yes. Yeah. So one thing that kind of carries over to digital art is I love that, if you layer up a bunch of stuff, you can kind of do almost the same thing, except you still don't have that thing where like on a canvas, you can see like where the layer is right there. You know where it is. In Photoshop, sometimes you have to do this detective work that takes, 10 minutes to find where the layer is that you like wanted to tweak and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm so like left to my own devices, honestly, I like drop things down a lot. I deal with it more like it because I don't like, even if I'm going to edit something, I kind of want to repaint it or like cut it up or whatever. And so like, unless I'm doing something in a studio where I have to leave the layers for other people, because sometimes, especially in stop motion, it'll be like, okay, can we have those layers so that we can literally break those apart to use for like scale reference or to build a mock-up, whatever. But on my own time, like when I'm making stuff, even if I know I'm maybe going to edit it down the line, like I'm always dropping down layers and I'll start a new layer if I'm going to try something that I may not like and want to take out. But I'm kind of always dropping them back down because I hate fishing through all that stuff. I hate like it's just all in the way of me trying to like figure it out. So I'm not really big on a million layers and then all that.
That's what makes you a professional and me an amateur.
I don't think that's true. I know a lot of pros who are big layer people. I think it just depends on how you like when you make a change or make a new decision, how you want to deal with that. And I do think there's an economy to people who have a process and know that like their best way is to be able to keep like this and this. You know what I mean? Like you do get yourself into hairy situations. There's pluses about and minuses about both. It's
fascinating that people's different processes with digital tools. But so let's go back. So let's take a deep breath, and let's go back to young Jenn. And she picks up a pencil or a pen, and she puts it to paper, and then she's kind of, I really like this. I kind of like doing this. So, painting, drawing, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, my uncle, so my family there weren't a lot of artists, but, and then sports were bigger in my family and I was interested in that and I did a lot of that. But I also was always painting and drawing way before that, really. I would do, if there was a book report, I'd do a painting, like I was big on that kind of thing. And my uncle actually painted billboards. That was the closest person that I had that was an artist. And my mom and he were very, very close. And so I think she had a little respect for the art side of things because she had grown up with someone who was such a fantastic artist. Sadly, he died of cancer when I was about 16. He went into the hospital one day and like within a week he had died. And I think it was probably fumes from the billboard painting because they didn't ventilate in the way that they should.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's so many stories like that.
Yeah, it's really awful, honestly. But so I was always, I was using water soluble paint and all these things that people deemed kind of studenty, but I wasn't willing to take that. I'm not willing to, potentially poison myself for all this. But yeah, my family still has paintings of his like in their homes and it's funny how you see like the things that you were around and how they influence you because he would also like infuse different kinds of like if there was a glass bottle or something, there'd be 30 bands of different color in it. And I feel like that's a little bit in me as well. So that's pretty cool. But he was definitely like the in-person influence, like the person that I actually was around who did that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then my grandparents worked at Disney World, like in the parks, in the shops, not like related to the films or anything, but my dad worked for Delta as a mechanic. And then my grandfather sold golf carts to the resorts, the Disney resorts. And then my grandmother worked in the shops. She worked in Blizzard Beach for a little bit and different places. And so it was like we were dirt poor, but we could fly for free and we'd go to Disney. So we would do that a lot. So my relationship, I had this relationship with Disney and with animation, but it never occurred to me that like I could be on that side of it because that wasn't my relationship to it at all. But I did love it. And I had all the movies and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I see that. I think you may have absorbed some of the design sensibility because I see that in your work. Back then they had that thing where you could walk through and see like the ink and paint department and all that stuff, like in the Florida MGM. MGM back then, now it's Hollywood Studios, I think. But you could walk through and you could like see the artists working and stuff. They still have the area. It's kind of a little mini museum now, but I do remember that was such a cool thing that you could like, they would walk you through how to like draw Pluto or something like that. And then you'd walk through and see people painting. It was very cool. Right. That's it. That's, I think, the fishbowl, they call it.
Was it? Yeah, I'm not sure.
If you worked in the fishbowl. And
it was pretty neat. I think they might have been making Pocahontas one of the times that I went. But yeah, very, very cool thing and impressionable. As a kid, it was something that really stood out to me. It felt like an alien planet for sure, but it was cool.
Yeah, someone just made a kind of a DIY documentary on that.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Is it online somewhere?
I think it is.
I'll have to grab that from you.
I might include it in the links.
Yeah, that'd be great.
For this episode, this is about my 7th or 8th episode, so I'm just kind of used to all the ins and outs.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is always so much more work than you think it's going to be, but it's worth it. It's cool. Like, I don't know. I love this kind of stuff. Yeah.
So how many have you done, Jen?
Oh gosh. I mean, more than 10. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly, but I've done them because I used to, when I was coming up in school, I became close with Chris Oatley, who does like a long running podcast, and he did an online school. And I was a student, and then I taught with him for a while. And so I did several podcasts with them. And then I just did one for Brian McDonald, who is just an amazing like storytelling kind of guru who lives up in Seattle. I know Pixar will hire him for like consultation and stuff like that. He's just an incredible.
Okay.
Yeah, he's really cool. And then just kind of random ones for different events linked to conferences or what have you. So just it might be more than 20. It's been several over the years, but they're kind of spread out.
Yeah. I think you're I can see that why you're sought out from podcasters. And so that brings me to this. What's that?
I said I think I'm good at rambling, and so that might be more of it.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it. I'm practicing.
Nice.
Let's talk about, so when I first met you, Jen, it was in kind of a weird environment, and we can talk about that or not, but over the years, I've really been impressed with your personality, and getting to know you and working together. That you are an honest, outspoken, and kind person, and that's very rare. I mean, most, as we know, a lot of people that get to positions of power are honest, outspoken, and abrasive people.
It can be go that way.
But talented, amazing individuals, and you have to kind of deal with the abrasiveness. So it's so nice to come across someone like you who are honest, outspoken, and kind. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you. It's funny because I used to say this thing to my students, and I still am very interested in it, which is like, so much of success, and scientifically proven, so much of success is being willing to keep trying. Grit is what they call it, basically. And I think sometimes like the kind of sensitivity that does make you a kind person is the same reason that maybe you give up, because the rejection and the things that happen as you're trying, they hurt you more because you're more raw, right? But something I read when I was in school was this interview with a clinically diagnosed sociopath. So not a psychopath, but a sociopath who was a doctor, meaning he doesn't have feelings the same way that we do, right? And so when he experiences rejection, there's no, terrible feeling to it. And he would always talk about, because he had like more medical papers published than a lot of people. He had some big reputation because he had all this success. And he was saying the reason that he had that success is because he would send something out, and if it was rejected, he would look at it, try and diagnose why it had been rejected, make 5 alts, and then send those out. And then when those came back, if they were rejected, he'd do the same thing, because he didn't have like a sort of, jolt that came from that rejection. He was able to just like see it for what it was and like take the next step.
Yes.
Like do the math on how to like
stoicism. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's something awesome in that, of just that idea of like, okay, like it's not bad to feel a thing. In fact, more of us should feel the thing, that's indicative of being a human and that you care. But to let it stop you is a shame, because I don't think that having a sensitive kind of demeanor should mean that, it's too painful for you to progress through that messy part, which we all have to go through to get anywhere. So I'm always like trying to think about that, about like people who don't have that and are willing to raise their hand over and over again, and how like, if I let that stop me, who does that leave, raising their hand? And it's jerks. So, you try and pursue it.
Yeah. Awesome.
I know that's kind of random, but
no. So something you said that, so she did something about hurting you more, like, this is part of the prisoner's dilemma, I think, as you gain experience in the industry, and that you are doing something that brings you great joy, if you're lucky to get in and work on projects and that are beautiful and have merit, et cetera, et cetera. But the pain is something that you aren't really prepared for. So we had a short conversation about directing when you were, up for that role or interested in that role, maybe a couple of years ago. And I have a little bit of experience. And so I was just thinking, so I always think back on that question, because that's, and thank you for that question. Because I think that's, if more people ask that, if more directors ask that question, rather than just kind of like getting in there and thinking they're like, I'm going to tear things up, I'm going to, F things up, and just, realizing the cooperative aspect of directing. It's like, and that it is like constant heartbreak that you're just recovering from every day. Like there's nothing that's going to work out the way, or just very rarely that something's going to work out that you had envisioned for the project, or that has been done by other concept artists that just are just amazing. It's never going to like, there's always going to be a problem.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and also like some days, even things that you love to do will feel like a burden. And that's weird, but it's true. You know what I mean? Some days, even the thing that you love and want to do, you'd rather do anything else, which is a weird feeling too. And also just like, I don't know. I thought when I got into all this that my sort of North Star for all of it would be that there were particular places and that there were features, that the kind of things I wanted to work on in my mind were like the big, I think that's kind of where everybody feels like. In my time, it was always Pixar that you would point at, but like, the big box kind of film stuff. And I think like over time, I've realized that like environment and who I'm working with and that working experience like how it feels to be in that place and work with those people is such a bigger part of it to me than any of the rest of it at this point. Because it's hard still, and it is heartbreaking, and it's all of that stuff. And so I think also, like, you know, we talked a little bit about like how you first met me and the situation that we were in, but basically, like, I think there are leaders who think that people make better work when they're a little bit on edge, or like, you know, kind of keep them jumping after something.
Interesting. Who are we talking about?
No. I mean, you know, but I think, and I think maybe that does work for some people. You know what I mean? Like, I think there is a logic to that, and there are people who respond well to that. I am a very sensitive, very anxious kind of person. And if I'm left on an edge like that, never knowing where I'm at, I don't do good work. I just don't. And I think there are a lot of people like that like do their best work when they feel confident, when they feel like stable, and like, you know what I mean? And so I surround myself with that because I am better in those situations. Like, I make better work, and, you know, am a happier person and better to be around, you know?
That is key. That is key. Like, to whenever you can, make a good foundation for people to feel supported, and then let them have the fun, you know, with you know, there's always the specific goals that you need to meet, but, you know, just let the happy accidents happen.
Yeah. I mean, you hire people because you love their point of view, their skill, their talent, all of that stuff. Like, in theory, if you're working with somebody, you know, because of that. And so, you know, you want to leave room for that, and you want to like have respect for that, I think. I don't know. So it is kind of a hard thing, because I do think like there's this push and pull, you know, talking about the money versus the art part of all of it. Like, you know, projects exist to make money, and there's money behind all of them. And so there is a pressure of like hitting certain landmarks and keeping certain voices happy, and like a bunch of different people, usually with different points of view. And so it can be, the higher up you go and the closer you get to having to be responsible for like keeping the project on the rails, keeping people employed, keeping all of this, you know, profitable so that it can exist, honestly, the more stressful that can become. And I think, you know, it does things to people if they don't kind of keep an eye on like why they bother, just from like a love of all of this standpoint, you know what I mean? And you kind of have to protect that along as you get closer to the more capitalistic parts of what we have to do. And I think that is hard. Like, I do get, like I said, I just directed for the first time. Like, I get how that relationship and that pressure, it molds into a different shape as you know, go up into different ranks. So I get why it does that to people, or why some people are a little more, there can be more high stress environments, I'll say. And so it makes sense. I'm not, you know, I don't not understand.
Yeah, we're all moody, you know. We're all moody and can have bad days and stuff like that.
And it's hard. Like, just if you love it doesn't mean it's not hard.
My good friend Bill Bose, who's a production designer.
Yeah.
Have you met him, Jen?
I haven't, but I've heard so many stories between you and Tom, and
I hope you get to meet him someday.
I hope so too. He seems great.
He's so fun, so talented. We made a little thing for the fridge in the kitchen at Skellington, I think, where it was like, Dad is in a good mood, bad mood. We put
the weather report. We always talk about the weather report from places, and it's you know, you don't want, that's tough, you know, because I do think like being a leader is hard. Like, being in charge of people is a difficult thing. And I don't think you always even have a window into what people experience on the other side of working with you. But I do have a goal of never being somebody that people have to like check a weather report you know, to deal with me. But it is hard, because I do think like, you know, you go through stuff and your mood does impact other people, especially when you're having to like be the one making decisions and all of that stuff. And so it's just a weird balance, but it's all people stuff. And I think like, if you surround yourself with people that you do trust and respect and all of that stuff, then you can kind of weather all of that together. Like, I think that's what makes it work and makes it okay. You know, if you end up like, I work with that house special team that I was talking about all the time. And I love them because it's like, even when the work gets hard, it's like, I know them, we trust each other. There's not a lot of ambiguity. And so like you can push through and do that stuff and you know you've got that support. And I think that's the good thing about the collaborative nature of animation, you know, because they're also there when it gets harder and you need the support in addition to being people you have to share decisions with. And so that can be frustrating. It's also a team sport. And so you have backup, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I want to tell the story about Jenn in this episode because I would like it to be recorded, you know, for selfish purposes, because it was one of the nicest things that someone ever said to me in my whole career. And so let me set the scene. So it's Wendell and Wild, which is a beautiful film.
Yes.
But you know, like every project, had a lot of ups and downs to get made, you know, pandemic and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But I was asked to come in and help with some storyboards. I think they were at a kind of a crucial junction, and I've worked with Henry before, and so I know the drill. And I was just like, you know, it's a good project, good people working on it. Why not? So my first day, I went into the kind of the story area, art department area, and everyone seemed busy. They were kind of building stuff, but there was just like this cloud. There was like this tension in the, oh my gosh. And I was looking at people like, oh my gosh, these poor people. Like what is going on here? And the two artists in the back of the room were you and Olga, like looking out, and I was right away. I was like, "That's a smart position to be way in the back, out of the line of fire."
We got there first,
yeah,
so we got to shift those desks that were
away from the shrapnel, and then you can kind of you can get early warning. You can see all the way down the
nothing happening behind me. Nothing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so, but you were like. I remember you following me around, like, okay, I'm, you know, like not just curious, like, you know.
Side note, Jenn was not literally following Mike, but Mike noticed that she was tracking him observationally like a scientist to see what he was up to. Now back to our episode.
Yeah, so it was like a couple months of working there, and then talking to people, and I don't know, I have this, maybe it's like a motherly nature or something. I have to make sure everyone is okay, like around the room. Or in all the different departments, you know, I'm just super curious about that. I want to just from a a group standpoint, like how's everybody doing? What are you doing? All that stuff. And so I did that in the room. I did that around the studio and everything. And it was good to see people again. And then, you know, did the work need to be done there, the storyboards and there were beat boards, I think, for kind of like a re-envisioning of the third act or something like that. I don't know. Can't remember. But and then I came back one more time, you know, but I think I got COVID like right around that time, even before people knew what it was. I think I had it, and it just took me out for 2 weeks. And so I didn't. But we kept in touch after Wendell and Wild. And you know, here's another thing to your credit, Jenn, is like Henry did say, well, she's the one to watch.
Oh.
Yeah. But you called me up and or we were talking like just there's a break, and then you just said, hey, by the way, I think
I reached out to you on Instagram, I think, because I hadn't in a while. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good. So maybe I have the exact words, but like just, you know, thank you for coming in and lightening up the mood or something like that, or just kind of something like that. I don't know.
Well, you were a benefit on two fronts. It was both on the like lightening up the mood in the room, and then also we were in what I would call almost like a state of emergency. I mean, I was working 100 hours a week, literally, to try and get through the beats for the film. So when you came in to help with that, especially like, I'm more of an illustrator, I'm more of a production designer, like storyboarding, I'm not as fast as a typical storyboarder, all that kind of stuff. And so the beat boards are kind of a mix of the two things, and it had a lot of action in it. It had a lot of this stuff that I felt like, one, I didn't feel as confident in that, as what I usually do. But then also it's just like the quantity made it so that I felt so overwhelmed by it that I didn't feel like I could put so you coming in was a relief on multiple fronts because you were kind and lovely. And then also you really stepped in at a time when like Olga and I were just, like so buried that we could barely so it was.
I mean, you guys were like, almost like you were like kind of looking out of the foxhole, like
totally
back.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were in the thick of it at that moment. And so you coming in, it was like, oh, thank gosh. Like, holy cow. So yeah, the gratitude will go on forever because that's what I think of. When I think of you is just like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Quite welcome.
It was very helpful.
Anytime.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. But yeah, we met up again when I was on Pinocchio, I think. That's when I reached out, and I think we had a lunch maybe, and then did like a little tour on Pinocchio, which was fun. Been kind of meeting up.
And then, here's another funny story about Jen and I working together. I'm very thankful that you production designed the Where Have All the Humans Gone? I mean, Meg Tyndall did a lot of design work before you got on, but you kind of helped, needed that local person to be here and just nail the backgrounds. And thank you so much for that. But
it was fun.
Oh, good. Yeah. So it's low budget, and it's one of those things where, it's just kind of juggling your time and trying to be mindful that it is low budget and you can't kill yourself on it. But so your stuff was amazing. And the amazing thing about it is that I didn't even have to, like, everything you sent in, like you scanned in, was just, oh wow, this almost perfect. So that was good. And but before we were kind of building, so Meg and I were talking at the beginning of the project. The project is about is about this poem that Julia Butterfly Hill, the legendary activist that lived up in a redwood tree for two years to save it and some trees around there and kind of like raise awareness about deforestation. She's still doing it. She got this job for us, which is awesome. I think I'm very, very thankful for it. But so at the beginning of it, when we're designing, we use a lot of paper and stuff like that, and it's about recycling, it's about deforestation. So we're thinking, how should we be buying this expensive paper to like do these conceptual drawings and all like that? Like almost like I think Meg and I just came to the conclusion at the same time, and you absolutely saw that aspect as well. And so there's spaceships in it. And so, oh my, this story is going on forever. So the idea was to make these kind of Elon Musky looking type of spaceships out of large Coke bottles and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got one on my wall in the other room, actually. I've got that and the little moon with the city and stuff that we made.
Oh yeah. Wait, hold on.
A lot of trash.
Yeah. So even I was spray painting these white outside of stage 13, and a woman walked by and goes, "Oh, that's one of those Elon Musky, Elon Musk chips, isn't it?" I was like, "Oh yes, bingo, it worked." So I just include these, smaller bottles to the big bottle, and that's the ROCKITs. Maybe this would actually work. Maybe I should like put some propellant in there, see if it flies.
At the very least, to launch some fireworks or something.
Yeah, and then so I was excited about it. I took some pictures, or actually, the producer Paul took some pictures, very exact, very all the
Yeah.
different angles, like way too many angles of the thing. And I just want to send a picture to Jen. And then and that's the only time I've kind of felt your anger basically is like when you email back, 'cause I don't want to do any kind of CG. It looked like a CG model.
It had been painted gray, and there was
Yeah.
like, I think there was like a weird warpy part on one of the bottles that looked
Hmm.
like the kind of warp that happens in a CG. Like it was just weird because I thought for sure it was the
Yeah.
CG. That's what it looked like. And I was irritated because we had the whole conversation about like things being out of trash and all that stuff. And I was like, that's like the easiest thing to just make. Why don't we just make that? And lo and behold, it actually was a
Yeah.
built thing, which is hilarious.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was a funny thing because I absolutely 1,000% thought it was a CG model when I looked at it.
Yeah. So now this is very exciting news. I hope the project makes it to the finish line. I'm working on a stop motion picture based in Kosovo, and they want to make the whole movie out of recycled materials. Like
Oh, that's awesome.
even so there's a machine that can grind up these plastic bottles, and make them into little plastic pellets. And then you put them into like an extruder that makes this plastic filament. And then you can put that filament into a 3D printer and print
I
out
mean,
stuff
I
like
love
faces
that.
and all that
That's
kind
so
of stuff.
great.
So yeah, so that's potentially the whole movie could be made out of recycled materials.
That is awesome. Yeah, I'm doing something a little more lo-fi in that vein. I decided to do this because I have to, doing direction stuff, I have to make a reel anyway, right? And so I approached this like local women's shelter, Rosehaven. It's just a small place, but I really like them. They've been here for years, but I'm doing like a kind of like a short stop motion thing for them, but I'm trying to use all discarded materials to make it because it is about, people feeling discarded and like the way that we are so quick to throw things away or like look past things and move on to the newer piece. And so I think, I don't know, there's something beautiful in it. I've also just stopped by, I won't buy new clothes anymore. I only buy like thrifted or used stuff. I just feel like the world that we're living in, it's like, I just don't want to make more trash if I can help it. There's plenty of
Yeah.
stuff. So I'd rather
Have you seen the work of Stephen Halou, who's a Belgian artist?
So let me look.
He does he had a thrift store with his friend, and they had he barns and barns of old appliances and stuff like that, and he just noticed how cool they were, so he started making little robots and figures out of them.
That's rad.
Yeah, I think you'll recognize it when you see him.
You know who else does that? Nelson Lowry. Yeah, he'll make like little robots out of like, he'll be walking home and he sees a weird piece of trash in the parking lot and he'll grab it, and then at home he like makes all these little guys. It's pretty awesome actually, and like different collages and stuff, and that's one of the first times
Oh, I
I
did not know
started
that.
seeing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff done. Yeah. It was when I was an intern. I thought it was so rad.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love that kind of stuff. It's those, you still see them around a lot, but it's like people who use like old junk and car parts and whatever to like make a peacock or what. I love that stuff. I just think it's really lovely, and that's very human.
Actually, yeah, I do remember Nelson showing me something that he made out of like toothpaste caps or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. He was always doing stuff like that. They did that Sony commercial with Wes Anderson, but he had all these like, they were like the things that wine bottles would come in to keep them from breaking, like in shipping, those like cartony things with all the little in out pieces. And they became these little like robot apartments, which is pretty amazing that he had like saved all these things because he was like, oh, this is cool shape. And then ended up, I love that kind of stuff. I wish I had a warehouse to keep all the weird stuff I find so that I didn't fill up my basement. But I do love, all that found object.
Yeah.
Stuff
And Bill Bose does that for prototypes a lot. He'll just use cardboard and hot glue and just like whatever works, you make a prototype of something, and those are like works of art themselves, those things.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know. And it's also just fun. Like, I don't know. I've kind of stayed away from learning CG modeling just because of the fact that I don't want to spend more time on my computer. I spend so much time on it already. And so like getting away from the computer for a minute to build something or make something, I don't know. It just does something different. The physicality of it, like there's a restfulness to that. And so I think that's why I like working in stop motion so much, is because I get to do a little mix of both, which feels a little fresher to my brain,
Amen, sister.
Yeah, right. Only so many screens you can kind of take at some point, if you can help it.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen that Miyazaki's in the news?
Right.
Because everyone's doing their Studio Ghibli kind of like, AI portrait or something. So that
This makes me sad.
yeah.
Well, it makes me sad for him because it's like, well, you know, we've seen enough of this already outside of the AI thing. It's like Basquiat wouldn't have wanted like his work used the way that it's used now, like put on socks and t-shirts and whatever. He was very against that. The guy Bill Watterson, who made Calvin and Hobbes, was very against that. And now the it's everywhere. It's bumper stickers. It's whatever it is. And now this is so much worse even because it's like, you're literally what you know what I hate about
But you can't stop it. I mean, you can't stop it.
Well, I mean, honestly, so there's three things that make me crazy about it. One, theft. And honestly, it should stop there. Theft is enough. That's enough for a reason to hate it. But two, it's literally an average machine, which means that it takes all stuff that has been made before and literally puts it all together and makes the average of those things. And why is average an aim for anyone? Gross. But then also, it costs a ton of money. We're not dealing with that yet, but money in the sense of climate issues and computer bandwidth and heat and cooling of those computers. Like it's kind of like what they did with like Uber and Lyft to kill taxis, where it's like they put a crazy low rate on it for several years to get people using it to phase out as much of the taxis as they could. And then the rates went back up to a sustainable place. And that is what's happening with the AI stuff too, is like that stuff, the buck is going to stop somewhere. But when it does, they will have already driven so many people out of this profession that, you know what I mean? And so it's like you're not even making a good trade. It's extremely short-sighted because you're going to get a worse product that you're going to have to still hire people to fix. But those people are going to be low-paid people who aren't interested in the work they're doing because it's not a passion, right? And they didn't take years to earn that knowledge. And you're driving people who would have been creating new things that we hadn't seen before. It's just, it's all a terrible, terrible trade, but it's an immediacy and convenience thing, which seems to be the choice that humanity is making across the board on a lot of things, which is sad. And there's a cost and it's gross.
Yeah.
Not everybody's making it. There's a lot of people who are rejecting.
I'm depressed. Oh.
I'm sorry. I know that's horrible. But I think there's a lot of people rejecting that stuff too. But I do think just like the convenience thing is such a lie as well. It's a full manipulation. So hopefully
so spiritually, doing your artwork, how do you not be average? How do you, what do you do? Where do you go?
I think for me, the more I've leaned into my personal, like idiosyncratic taste, experiences, what I enjoy, what I respond, like the more I dig down into that rabbit hole of like, okay, what do I like and why do I like it and all of that stuff. And so I'll take that. There's that nugget, right? Which is the side of it that is like exciting and joyful for me. But then you come into a job, the capitalism comes into it, and it's, for whatever it is, it might be way over here, right? It's this thing. And for me, what's nice about where I am now, if someone is hiring me, typically it's because they love this. They already created a relationship with this they know that they like. And they are making associations between this and this. Whether I agree with those things being connected is a different thing, but I have to assume when I'm being hired that they love this. And so what I do is I go in here and I find the things I can pull out of here that get me engaged. And I think part of it to me also is that I try to approach every single thing, no matter how commercial or how much I love it or don't, as like a puzzle that I have to figure out a way to be excited to solve. And what that means is like, I don't have a standard process for anything. Like I have to figure out what the problem is. And based on what that problem is, I then construct a process or a response or, pull threads from different places to figure out what that is and try to follow that as opposed to like this is the road I run every time and I just plug in this, this, and this. You know what I mean? Like it is totally different. It's totally reinvented every time I approach a new. Every time we approach, yeah, but that's the thing.
I love that. I love that answer, Jen. I mean, in essence, you're saying you have to bring out the place in yourself that's going to improve the concept art that you're doing, or the the product, basically.
Yeah. Well, and I have to trust that if I can find a way to generate my own excitement in doing it, that will also generate connection for other people and their excitement with the thing. I have to trust that like my excitement, finding a way in that makes me a fan of that thing or makes me interested in it, is going to make other people interested in it. And I think that's how I make sure that I'm working on things that are the right fit for me. Because, I still do run into things where it's a miscommunication and we get on a thing and there's just not a good marriage there. It's just not a fit with like what I feel about the project versus where they kind of see it going. But for me, like so much of it is like, I don't need to take it over, but I need us to have a similar point of view and taste level where like we agree on what's good. Because otherwise we're just going to be kind of arguing with each other the entire time. But then additionally to that, I also just think like diversifying the kind of stuff you get to do, the people that you work with, the projects that you do, and having your own stuff. Like I work in kids' books where there's a lot less meddling with the end product. Like I make the art, that's the art that goes out, as opposed to animation where you're like, it's you and maybe 250 other people, and so of course it's like you can only own so much of it. And I think like I don't have a big need to own stuff, but I also have an itch to scratch sometimes of being able to express my own thing. And so I think it's all of that, right? It's like making that thing your own a little bit or making it something you love, but then also having your own stuff so that when that blows up or goes away or gets locked in a vault and you never get to share it with anybody because they decided they don't need that property or whatever it is, you are not broken by that because it's not your baby. You're not holding it so tight that you... know what I mean, are destroyed by that. I do think a lot of people fall into the trap of like work is so demanding that they make that their like connection to art and their connection to their identity as an artist.
Yes, the connection to your identity, that's hard. So especially coming out, on this side, because I'm waning out of my career, I guess, is that attachment to your identity as someone that works in the film business. And then kind of realizing that you're not actually that, there's a person underneath that kind of like was changed, sometimes for the better, but mostly for the worse, I guess. From what I've noticed, to make you, like I guess a jaded professional is one way to put it.
Yeah. It's easy to feel that, and it's easy to like just kind of like let that eat you alive.
Yeah.
To be honest. And I think like for me, I'm always just like I try and maintain the sort of like gratitude that like while even as a director, the project is not yours. Like it's not. It's never yours, right? And sort of making peace with that and just being like, I don't know, grateful to have the freedom and experience and community and, an ability to get in a little bit like on that and knowing you have other places and other outlets and seeing it as like you're learning things, you're improving, there's a lot there that's a good thing. There's a lot there, no matter what it turns into, how close or not close to your vision it became. Like, I don't know, I guess I'm still grateful for the experience that I had and the fact that I was able to like fund my life for another year. I was, what I mean? Like I none of that is small, so I'm always trying to like hold on to that part of me that's like, I'm not so precious about my own need to exercise my vision on something that I can't see the thing for what it is, which is at the end of the day, a job that allows me to survive in a capitalist situation, which is I'd rather work on a kitchen commercial and make it the most interesting commercial that I can make and work with great people and feel good about that than like, think I'm doing.
You keep mentioning capitalism.
Yeah. Well, because I think
Are you against capitalism?
I think it is a distortion of the human condition that makes everything worse. Yeah, I'm kind of against it. I think, but honestly, what it is more that like when I didn't know anybody who made art for a living, because again, like my uncle was the only person and he had passed away. I was in school at the School of the Arts in Chicago, and I was trying to be a fine artist because I didn't know.
Wait, where was this?
The School of the Art Institute of Chicago, the one that's like attached to the back of the museum.
I was just there.
Were you? I love it there. I love that museum.
I was so blown away.
Yeah, that place is so great because you literally walk through that museum, and the classrooms and stuff are in the back of that building. So you could like just walk through that museum every day. Like it was amazing. But I went to school with a lot of people who didn't want to ever talk about the commercial side of it, but then we're also kind of turning it all into a commercial thing. Like it was more about like the interesting write-up that you write about how you made these shower paintings because of whatever, but the painting looks like crap, you know, like that kind of thing. Or I don't know, just wrote off the need to have craft involved in painting at all due to some like existential coolness. I don't know. I did not connect with it at all, but I think that what I sort of learned from all of that is that even people making fine art in a corner by themselves are making commercial art. It's all commercial art. So like, why beat yourself up about like that part of it? Because like we have to survive. And so if you can find a way to marry those two things, I think that's a success. If you can find a way to like enjoy your time and express some creativity and exercise that part of you, but also make a living, like, is that not the goal? Is that not a good thing? I think it is. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing.
It's a hard thing.
What classes did you take at the Institute of Chicago?
Why
did they turn the U into a V? Why is that? Is that provocative? Yeah, or maybe that's the new logo. They instead of an institute.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess I don't remember that. I mean, it's I guess cool. I don't know. Why does the witch have like a Vivitch, like two V's instead of the, you know, I don't know. I think it's a flourish, but you know, it was a weird place because I do feel like college is interesting because you pay a lot of money to be there, but then they set up this structure and they almost want to automate you through it. Of like, you take this class and this class and this class this year, and then you take this class and this class and this. So I had to kind of break it apart because I wasn't getting what I needed. So I started doing a lot of independent studies. I did that in grad school too, of just like, okay, I don't want to knock at the door of this person who's interested in stuff way over here and has nothing to do with anything that I'm in love with. I would rather come over to this person who has similar enough interests with me that I can like learn from them and go the direction I want to go. And so I kind of identified the people who were actually useful to me. And I would do extensive independent study stuff. But like one of my favorites was this lady, Mary Lou Zelazny, who would do these huge, like colorful collage kind of paintings. But she would teach a figure painting class where she would like dress the person up in some crazy, insane configuration of color and madness, and then put like colored lights and different things. And you would spend like a 6 to 8 hour day in that class just doing figure painting. And it was just like incredible. That was my favorite part of being in college, was just like getting to like go and like have something magical like that in front of me and get to figure out my way of responding to it. Like I was really in love with that. That was the best part of school.
It's like a real art school.
Yeah. If you could find the people who wanted it to be that. There were also like for example, there was a painting downstairs that was done by one of our recently tenured professors, and it was pink square with like a beige circle and then another pink circle inside it. And you look at it and you're like, what? And then you'd see a tag on the wall and it said endless hot dog. And it's like, I hear you. It's a joke. It's funny. It's not necessarily art to me, but it's a quip. It's a joke. It's not different than like a comic in the Atlantic or something. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not exalted over illustration or whatever in the way that they kind of create a hierarchy like that. There isn't one. And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned, is just that like it's all kind of.
Who's the guy that did the paper shredder in the painting during
Banksy.
Yeah, that's so genius.
Yeah, no, it's
so genius.
Geeky, and it's funny and it's great.
Yeah.
But in the same way we shouldn't have billionaires, we probably shouldn't have like billion-dollar artworks either. You know what I'm saying? Like in the same way that like placing that much value on any one person, like placing that much value on any one piece of art too is a little weird. Like I just think we're a little weird about stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just talking to somebody about like a collector. I do a couple episodes on collectors,
Cool.
uh, and yeah, like the amount of collecting groups out there, and they all have their own kind of culture and conventions and all that stuff. It's kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I always I hate people who like make you feel bad for liking something, even if they don't like what you like, because who cares? Like, if everybody actually went toward what they honestly were attracted to, we would have a lot more supported kinds of art and kinds of content and whatever. If there wasn't this pressure to like something that had already been like pre-decided as an acceptable thing to let, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's such a bummer. And I hate the way that we sort of want to push people toward the known pre-selected thing that is accepted group wide. I think that makes me pretty sad, to be honest. I think there's so many people in the world doing so many interesting things. And I feel like, you know, the percentage of people who get to like actually see that through and work on it because they can't financially support it is a lot smaller than I think it should be. I don't know.
Um, yeah. Okay, so one last question, Jen, and thanks so much for your time. Uh, is how in your experience, do you have how do you prepare yourself mentally for going into a project? You know, do you do you take breaks? Do you have any kind of like rituals or that you can think of?
I think the thing closest to a ritual for me is probably like the reference gathering period of anything, because that's where I fall in love with something new,
Hmm.
whatever it is. Like that's where because it's like the the ideas you have at first when you think you know what something is are never as interesting as like if you follow that rabbit hole and chase down these things and that sparks this thing and that makes you think of this thing. Like going through all of that, I feel like that's where the success or failure of, at least as a designer, that's where my success or failure lives or dies. It's in that period of like what I'm taking in, what I'm thinking about the project and the connections that I'm making. Like I feel like I'm more curator than anything else in a large way. And so like that's the, because I feel like the tactile making of the thing, like I can make it look good. I'm not worried about that part, right? But if the idea is not interesting, if it's not coming from a specific enough place, then it's going to fall flat. And so to me, like the biggest, most important section is just like the reference searching and the collecting of different, like the magpie part of it, where you're going like this over here and then this thing from way over here and then this thing over there. Like that's how you get somewhere new. I think that it is I think that if you're not a little bit scared going into a new thing, it's because you already know what it looks like and you're not doing anything new, and that's a bit sad. So I think like if you're feeling a little nervous or anxious or whatever, you're probably in the right spot, if that makes sense. I think David
Yeah.
Bowie said something similar of like when you go just to where in the pool where you can't touch the bottom anymore, like you start to get a little bit nervous. You're probably in the right spot. Maybe go a little bit further.
Yes. In fact, I actually, so I do this not before every project, but I refer back to it. I refer back to um, this experience is I will swim out past the breakers, you know, past to where you can't touch and you can't see anything at the bottom.
Yeah,
And, you know, there's always a possibility you might not get back in for whatever reason.
totally.
And it's probably not the safest thing to do. I don't recommend it for everyone, but it's like, okay, this is kind of real fear, like real, you know, and the unknown, you know, and like even if you think farther, like just looking down into the ocean, you know, that's that kind of massive unknown. And but you know, you're gonna come back in, you know, to the shore, hopefully, and you know, it's just kind of a good.
I have like one last thing related to that, which is that like I think I have a little bit of an addiction to that feeling.
Ah,
I think it's a little bit of like, okay, so if I'm super, super honest, this directing thing is freaking me out. I'm scared of it big time because I feel like with art, I can tell if I'm good at it. I feel like it's easy to assess that. It's easy to know. And so you can get like a floor under you. But at the same time, like coming up, trying to be a production designer, trying to do the things I wanted to do, like as a younger illustrator and all of that, and climbing that mountain was extremely hard financially, extremely hard emotionally, all of that stuff. But at this point, it's a lot less scary to me. I've done it enough times that I know that, like, even though it's going to be different every time, I'm either going to find my way through it, or if it's not the right place for me, I've made peace with that too. So a lot of the anxiety of it is sort of quelled for me at this point. I mean, not to say that it's ever easy, but it's like I don't have necessarily the like genuine panic of like worrying that it is going to like not work out or whatever. But with the directing thing, I keep asking myself, like, are you ready to be this terrified again? Are you ready to be this broke again? Are you ready to be, because it is like restarting on a new hill, on an entire new hill. And I keep thinking, like, why do I want to do that when I've climbed this hill and this hill is great? Like, I do love this hill, but it's like, I don't know. It's that not knowing where that could go or what I could do with that, plus this one together and all of that keeps me doing it. But on a certain level, it's a little bit crazy to keep, to keep kind of throwing yourself at stuff when you have no idea if you.
It is crazy. It's totally crazy.
Yeah.
And
but
then
that fear's good.
Yeah. What's that?
I was just saying, but the fear's good, and I ultimately like I always end up choosing that, but I do like have this existential crisis of like, what am I doing? Like, I don't have to feel this.
Oh,
like I
thought you said the beer is good.
Oh, no.
The beer is good. That's where my mind's at.
It is Portland, so yes, there is that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your thoughts, Jenn.
Yeah, it was fun. It was nice to chat with you. I haven't talked to you in a minute.
And I now have official outro because
Okay.
The previous episodes and it just kind of stop and I just kind of like look. There's nothing. Yeah. So here's my outro. Let me hear what you think. So thank you, Jenn Ely, for being in the prisoner's dilemma with me.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah. How does that sound?
Great. I hope it was interesting. I feel bad because I'm always like, I kind of forget that there's, I'm kind of just talking, and then suddenly I remember like other people are trying to listen to this for potentially entertainment value or, to learn something or whatever. And so I hope there was enough in there for them for that.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, same. Can I ask you a weird question? When did Henry say that to you about me? That's actually shocking to me. I had never heard you say that he said that I was somebody to watch. That actually stuns me a little bit.
I think it was when I was, I was first doing that, kind of just getting to know the lay of the land.
Yeah.
Walking around, and then just the next conversation with Henry, I was like, oh, who's this? And like, who do they do? What do you think? And all that stuff like that.
So weird. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate that just because I do think he's brilliant. So that's a cool thing to hear. But yeah, cool, Mike.
I mean, I didn't believe him, but
yeah, no, I don't. I definitely don't. But it's interesting to me that those words came out of his face.
Yeah. No. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm so super excited to see more about that project you've been working on. It really does sound cool. So let me know when it's something we can.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to get Damon Bard to do a couple of sculptures.
Oh, rad! He's incredible.
And the couple, I call them the Kosovo couple.
Yeah.
They they wanted to design the characters, and so they brought this reference to a meeting. It was just all the Wendell and Wild character designs.
Oh yeah,
that's the way. So it's good taste, and but yeah. So now Damon Bard might do a couple.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know her, but Katie Strutz here in town is another like incredible sculptor that is local, and she's been We've been using her a lot at House Special, but she's also a character designer. But if you need like supplemental sculptural stuff, she's amazing. You might have met her at my birthday. Actually, she was dressed as she had like a Medusa headband. She sings incredibly. She's an amazing singer. But yeah,
How do you spell her last name?
Strutz, Strutz, I believe.
Okay.
She's on Instagram. I definitely follow her, but it's Katie Strutz, Katy Strutz. She's awesome. She does like A24 will hire her to do like puppets for a new film coming out and send them to people. She's really, really good. So, but yeah, I don't know how she would be with the Pablo Lobato, because that's a tough ask of a sculptor. I feel like those are so difficult. They're beautiful. Like when they nail it hard, but I could not imagine approaching that and trying to sculpt it. It's like brain bending.
I know. That was one of my reactions as well. I was like, oh wow, that's like, it's not an easy path.
No, I would have loved to see Kent do that. I would have loved to see him get to play with that, you know? I bet he would have been so good at that.
Yeah.
He just had such a good brain for like visualizing things in 3D,
right.
Understanding them. I don't know, just incredible. But anyway. All right, Mike. Well, thanks. Yeah, let's have a lunch or do something again soon, yeah?
Okay. Cheers.
Bye.